guys, yeah, guess it. You're here at Sodi. Things are getting crazy. Let me organize myself. I was up pretty damn late, and the reason being is because Pavel Anderson, I noticed he was hosting a space. I couldn't really fall asleep, which the wrong thing to do is to go on Twitter Spaces and get excited about stuff, right? So he had a space that was talking all about, you guessed it, VeVe, and talking about the future and the metaverse and everything. And so I decided to join in and start chatting. And I was up probably till like 4:30, 5 a.m. I was just like, wow, that was a horrible decision, sleep wise. But it was cool. It was a lot of fun. I got to chat with a couple new people. Hello Kate joined later on. It's pretty late night, so a lot of people were just listening in. And Hello Kate had a few good observations about things we were talking about. I think everyone did. There's some good people in there. And one thing that was talked about was how would VeVe build the metaverse? And the metaverse feels more than ever really far away off, right? Because VeVe is still solving all the bot problems. It's still solving everything going on. Now, it is nice to see the past weeks. I got 5 comics again today, and maybe that's ridiculous, right? Uh, but and I don't know. I got 3 comments so far. I'm trying to see what the rest are. But we're able to get drops again, which is super exciting, where that wasn't happening at all in the past little while. Oh my gosh, got 5 comments. That blows, but that's okay. That's fine. A risk I was willing to take. I did get a 10,000 or 1,021, which is a pretty low mint. Get you some extra points and stuff. So, but now that VeVe has partnered more up, there's an interesting thought. We're talking about gaming and how they might partner with a gaming company and all these different possibilities, right? And VeVe probably won't be doing, they're not going to have an in-house team doing the metaverse. That'd be ridiculous. I mean, their in-house team doing art has enough issues sometimes, right? With Trevor being gone. So the thought is that VeVe would partner with gaming company. Well, most recently we saw the Batman Black and White 6 series with all those different Batman. Warner Brothers Entertainment was the licensor. It was no longer DC Direct. Warner Brothers, if you're not familiar, is going to be making the Harry Potter game. Is made the Batman Arkham games, Arkham Asylum with Rocksteady Studios, I believe, with the original trilogy. And there was a different company that came in the middle for. There was Arkham Asylum, Arkham City. I think Arkham Origins was maybe the third one, which was by a different company. And I remember that was kind of the bastard child there. They like kind of tried to kick it off, but it was a pretty good game. And I didn't play the last one, but Arkham something something. No, there's also Arkham Blackgate, which I think was a mobile game, or that was like a PSP Nintendo 3DS game. So I digress. But anyways, also Capcom, we know, is a partner. Capcom makes some amazing stuff. So my thought is that they'd partner with one of these gaming companies that already has the engines, already has paid for this stuff, already has the developers that know how to do this stuff. And they build essentially a hub world that, if you think about it, is like the way it will function is, yeah, you'll see buildings and everything in metaverse, everyone will have land, but you can go to Capcom world, and inside it, they have all these waiting rooms, all these things to happen, and you can enter inside Monster Hunter, or you could enter inside Capcom versus Marvel, because guess what? Capcom and Marvel have teamed up before, right? So we could see some amazing things in Capcom versus Marvel as far as like the fighting game scene. Now, I'm not a professional at all. However, I have followed that scene before. It is a big like game, Capcom versus Marvel, and has been really sought after for a very long time. The latest one, I remember when PS Vita was super fun. They have so many amazing characters, and I think for someone who doesn't come from a comic background, it's the first time you're like, oh, Spider-Man and the X-Men interacted? Like, that's super weird, because they couldn't for so long in popular culture. They couldn't be seen together because of all the licensors. I was watching a thing on X-Men yesterday on the TV show, and how it was founded, how it was started, and how much trouble, like the little artist, that he was a super big comic fan, what he would do is actually sneak other characters in. Like, he had a special where Deadpool was there for the X-Men. He actually had a period in which he showed Spider-Man, and the executives had him take it out, but he still like had Spider-Man kind of show up, but it was only Spider-Man's arm, like saving someone. So it's just like a super, super cool to find out the history. But anyways, super exciting. Hello K was mentioning he further proved that it would be very, very difficult, and VeVe would probably not do it by themselves. They'd have to partner with the gaming company, which is the only thing I've really ever heard from anyone who is knowledgeable about this stuff at all, is that they would have to partner with another company. They would pay them, and then there would be NFT would do, or VeVe would do the NFT and everything side, and everything else would be done by the partner as far as we know. So going back, we have the VeVe drop today. Of course, I hope you got one. These have been pretty reasonable to get all of them. Again, I got 5 editions, all commons for this one. So the first one I got, I want to say common and uncommon. I only got a couple. I only got like 2, I think. The second one, I got common, uncommon, and rare, and I got 2 rares. And one of the rares I got was like 800 something. And by the way, hello, Brendan Z, the Palace, welcome. Thank you for joining me. And then this third one yesterday, I got, again, I think I got 4, and I got common, uncommon, rare. And again, one of my rares is a very low mint. And then with this one, all commons. I was hoping to get other ones. This is my favorite one so far with Spider-Man on black suit. Really loving it. He looks awesome. And then, of course, you have the last one there, which will be tomorrow. But we're going to go ahead and read this comic. Let's go ahead and check out the market very quickly to see what's going on in the VeVe marketplace. Make sure to update your app as well. Actually, I didn't update this app on here, so I'll have to do that later. But I didn't get any drops. I didn't go for any drops on my iPad. That's actually my girlfriend's account, so I'm just leave that alone. Leave that well enough alone, right? Hey, chaps. All right, and we are back down here. All right. So let's go ahead and check out the market really quickly. We'll do a little discussion. I don't think there's going to be too many surprises here as far as we see in the marketplace. I'm assuming common will be going for, again, a low price of like 4 gems. Uncommon, not much higher. Rare, you'll start to be in the profit around 12, 13, 14 gems. The ultra rare, usually around 20 to 30 gems right now, maybe 40. Maybe a little bit more because this is the Spider-Man cover, so it is like the coolest one. And then the secret rare will be around 140 is what we've seen thus far for these comics. Let's go ahead and check it out. Boom. Yes, we got the Death of Captain America. Hold on. Let me check this out. So the one from yesterday, we have 2.4K altogether, 2K on the market, 2.8K for the one. And the very first one, Wolverine, we only have 2.6K on the market and 2K from the one today. A lot of them have hit the market that probably will hit the market. Yep, 325 for the common, 5 gems for the uncommon, the rare. You're in the profit again at 11 gems about, so right on target. The ultra rare 27, what did I say? 20, between 20 and 30, right? And then the secret rare 118, so a little bit lower, I think 140, but 118. And you only need 1 secret rare to like pay for all your investing into this. So that is my thing. And then I believe that most stuff, if not everything, will not go for below what the original market price was on drop. I might draw the exception for something like Toby, since there are so many and he is not a very popular character. However, once MCP comes out, once they give you extra points, once all these things are happening and they do little awards and stuff, that stuff will naturally rise up, or it'll get bought up and burned, and that will make it more rare. So I'll be very curious to see how this goes. But we do have one tomorrow. Let's go ahead and check out the comic book. I was actually reading Moon Knight, and one thing with Moon Knight, so I was on the Moon Knight number 2. But one thing with Moon Knight, I want to actually show you guys. So yeah, let me pull this up. Let's see. I want to go to the second page. So you have Moon Knight. There's the first page, and the second page I've not seen this in Marvel Comics yet, or haven't noticed it, because we have read some of the older comics. This previously published content includes negative depictions of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Social change is a journey, and we must acknowledge where we've come from to build a more inclusive future. I thought that was awesome. It's a recognition that, yeah, I mean, a lot of these comics have some pretty old ideas, I would say that. So it's nice to see them talking about it, and this is the first like little thing that I've seen. It's a very small step, right? But it at least lets the reader know that, hey, we recognize the stuff, because you start reading it. I mean, this one wasn't as offensive as even the one with ah shoot, Miss Marvel, I think, where Spider-Man, he's like following her around town, and it's like, oh, she shouldn't be wearing a skirt like that, and how she's discriminated against in the Navy or the Coast Guard she was in. So it was really interesting to see that downplay, and that's maybe they do have one in there. I just didn't notice it. I skipped past it, but this is definitely a page that should be in that one, I would think. All right, let's get to Fallen Sun here. Number 4. Beautiful. If you're in the comments, say hello, just like Mr. Brendan Z did. Thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I woke up this morning, 8 a.m., did the drop. I was like, all right, I'll shut. And the thing is, my girlfriend went to go work out. So I kind of like nodded off again, and I was out. I was out, and then I woke up. Old Rhubarb actually messaged me, my best friend. He's my best friend, Old Rhubarb. Messaged me. He's like, oh, I was trying to find your stream. And I was like, yeah, I literally just woke up. So, oops. All right. Fallen Sun, the death of Captain America. Good old man, Spider-Man's ripped. He was the greatest soldier the world had ever known. When a devastating civil war divided the superheroes, he surrendered to end the conflict. Despite his noble sacrifice, he was assassinated. Captain America is dead. This is what happens next. This feels like a crime procedural, like a what's that show? Law and Order, right at the beginning. Jing jing. Fallen Sun, the death of Captain America, Chapter 4. They say the true legacy of a hero is based on the lives he saved. Richard Parker, loving husband. Mary Parker, loving wife and mother. Ben Parker, he was love. Knowing me, my legacy will be judged by the lives I've lost. I mean, that's how Spidey came to be, right? He was either too stupid or lazy to stop from burglar from robbing a place, and it turned out to kill my Uncle Ben, the only real father I had ever known. My parents, Uncle Ben, Harry Osborn, Captain Stacy, Gwen, and now Captain America's dead. Even though I didn't have anything directly to do with it, I know the role I played in leading up to it made everything worse. Uncle Ben, you told me there would be days that are hard, that will test me, but I don't think I can do this anymore. Peter's there, standing in the graveyard. Party sense. Get bent. Oh, no. Not here. Not like I have a choice. Puts his mask back. Flips away. Not now. I don't even feel like I'm up to it. It'd be just my luck. He'll leave and wipe out the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, and I'll come to that on my conscience. I know I ain't come to see you as much as I should, but things are bad right now. Rhino! Ugh! Hits him in the face. Rhino's carrying flowers. What? Spider! Ugh! Captain America survived World War II and about 1,000,000 battles since then, and somebody shoots him, dead, when it can happen to Cap? Who the hell am I to be doing this? If God has a sense of humor, I don't get the joke. Spider, after all this time, you can't even get my name right? What are you doing here? Why can't you leave me alone? Rhino says. Swings back at him. What? You're gonna act like this is some big coincidence that we're both in this cemetery? I don't know what you're talking about. It's okay, nobody ever knows what I'm talking about. He swings again, misses. In fact, I'll just do the talking for the both of us. At least that way, I'll be amused. Kicks him. Crashes into a gravestone. Look at what you made me do. Spider-Man sits on a grave. His mother's gravestone broken. I'll kill you for this. Rhino rushes him. I was visiting my mother. His mother? I just wanted to be left alone. Okay, I screwed up. I want to tell him I'll leave him alone, but I can't get my mouth to work. Came here from the middle of the night, not bothering anybody. You just can't stop thinking about Cap. Why did he have to die? Why not me? Shink. Off in the distance, we see the silhouette of Wolverine, looking at the fight. Why couldn't you leave me alone? Plenty of time to be remembering, but maybe because I thought I was going to die back then, too. Hulk wants to be left alone, he's remembering. It was like the first or the second time I went up against the Hulk. Stupid me. We'll never bother anyone again. Rhino winds up. But the Hulk was tearing up New York, and somebody had to stop him. Hulk, smash, puny spider, he's remembering. Wanted so badly to be rescued, just to get out there alive. That's when I have to admit to myself that no one is going to come to my rescue, except me. Back then, I got lucky. More than that lucky. I actually got Captain America. He was just so heroic. All at once, I felt like I was useless and inspired at the same time. And my Uncle Ben's words. No! You did well, Spider-Man. I'll take it from here. Cap rushed in to save him from the Hulk. With great power comes great responsibility. Never sounded more right. Whoa, what a cool... Look at that scene. Spider-Man gets up, punches Rhino in the stomach, saves himself. Echoing what Captain America did for him back then in New York. Sploosh! Spider-Man hits him with webbing in the face. Captain America is going back to him fighting the Hulk. Done! He hits Rhino one more time. Going back. Let's finish this. Okay, Spider-Man says, back fighting the Hulk. Now, we're back in the graveyard. Spider-Man standing over Rhino. What are we gonna do without you, Cap? Thanks for the help, son. Whoa, Captain America. Thanking me? I'm just nobody. Not to me. I couldn't have taken down the Hulk without you. Truth is, I think he could have taken down a mountain if he wanted to. But at that moment, Captain America noticing me made everything I'd done seem worth it. Looks like you handled that eventually. I'd like to say that I knew Wolverine was there the whole time, but I can't. Wolverine's awesome. Glad you enjoyed the show. Why'd you follow me? I left Logan a few hours ago. We had words. No reason. Here's a shocker. He's not the easiest guy to get along with. Then, leave me the hell alone. I head back into the city, but not without making one last stop. Doesn't matter where. I think I'm headed in life. At some point, it always brings me back here. As if I couldn't let it go, no matter what. Can't take no for an answer, huh? You had a rough night. Just making sure you got home okay. Look, I know what you're going through. You have no idea what I'm going through. No idea. He's remembering back. When? She fell to her death. This is where your girlfriend died, ain't it? Why am I doing this? If Cap can die? When Cap was putting together the new Avengers, your name came up. A few of us thought you weren't the right fit, that you weren't Avengers material. But Cap laid down the law. He told us all how you saved that day over and over without taking credit. How you had the stuff of heroes. And if we didn't want you, we couldn't have him. I mean, if Captain America says you can do the job, who are we to argue? Spider-Man, sitting down. I don't think I've ever met anybody who's more full of than you. You weren't there when I joined the Avengers, you came in later. Was that some incredibly lame plot that boosts my spirits? Maybe. They really think that I don't know what you're going through? Me, Logan says. Try this. Like somebody shot a cannonball right through your stomach, leaving a great hole. Eventually, it starts to close up from the outside. And one day, it'll be different. The load won't feel as heavy. Even in his mask, you can tell Spider-Man's crying. Of course. Then you'll hear some song, or somebody will laugh, or the wind will blow the wrong way, and the hole will just tear wide open again. I think I liked it more when you were at least pretending to make me feel better. Believe it or not, it heals back faster after each time. When does it go away? You already know that answer. Or else you wouldn't have been standing in the cemetery tonight. Want to know why it's called depression? Because it's fucking depressing. Sorry, I threw that in there. A death isn't like losing a job or getting divorced. You don't get over it. You have to integrate it into your life. Learn to live with it. But life does get better. Someday. Best you can hope for. Someday. Jesus. That was emotional. Sometimes after reading these comics, I get the chills, and that was definitely one of them. Yeah, pretty cool homage compared. Yeah, it was. Yeah, poor Rhino. Man, the art in here, let's just flip through this book, right? Let's see if, hold on, let's go back a couple pages. No, I'm always confused on what I need to press. There we go. Like, the art in this book is just so freaking good. And going back to when Cap saved him, I love this scene when you see how Spider-Man has grown from like being a kid and Cap saving him. And obviously, Spider-Man's always been awesome. Of course, he's gonna be part of the Avengers, right? He's like the best. Um, but where he decides to stop the Rhino and Cap saving him back in the day. What just like a cool scene. What amazing art. Everything's so nice and detailed. It's it's really great. The Rhino charging Spider-Man. I love this. I think this is a secret rare of Spider-Man punching the Rhino. That's a secret rare cover right there. As he's trying to deliver flowers to the grave. Rhino's just being misunderstood, but awesome. VeVe in 3, thank you so much for coming in. Pretty cool homage comparison. Poor Rhino though. Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate you coming in. But what a this book dealing with the stages of death and how it all came to be. The first one of making sure it happened, and then the second one of like showing what's going on at the same time with kind of the two different teams, hero teams at the time, and how they're dealing with it has like touched everyone because he's such like a big figure in the Avengers. Uh, it's really cool. Like I get that it's not a big comic arc in the grand scheme of things as far as like the price of stuff, but it's definitely special in its own way. It absolutely is. So I'll definitely be owning at least one of the commons if I could afford it. I love the secret rares, but it's a little bit pricier than I'll be willing to take. So super interesting. We have one more to read tomorrow, mañana, and then it will be done for this, and we will have to see what they have next in store for us. I'm actually curious to see. Let's go and see what if VeVe has said anything recently. Thank you from Matt Contact and VeVe. The other control snapshot was taken Friday. Weapon rack's full set holder snapshot was taken Saturday. ET, stay tuned. Okay, so we might have a physical drop. I believe they may have announced that. That's pretty cool. Ooh, looks like that guy is one weapon rack short. What if we only have the failure to control print? I only have one of these weapon racks. I didn't go for everything else, so that's pretty cool. They might have a drop. I wasn't aware of that, or at least I didn't follow it. All right, Matt Gondek's deadbeats have been featured in many of his paintings, murals, and sculptures, and now they're just deconstructing on VeVe. 4 collectibles drop Sunday. All right, April at 8 a.m. Cool. I might check this out. I don't know if I'll go for it, depending on how pricey it is. And then depends also how many variants they have, how many there are. Because if there's like several thousand of each, again, but I'll have to see if I like them or not. I have not done my research into them quite yet. So that is the next drop happening Sunday, April 17th. Very cool. Very excited about that. We have seen the market again. Things have dropped more or less. Things, if you've been watching the HRO Hero DC market, things have dropped a little bit in that as well from, going up high. That's expected as more and more stuff comes out. And we also see that let me give it back to the reader. We also see that more and more higher mints are coming out. And as like the initial hype dies down, there will be more hype and stuff. But as the initial hype dies down, because we still have the overall crypto market doing its thing. So Bitcoin is still not like pumped back up. It's actually below 40,000. I'm reading 39,000 here. You can see it here with me, but 39,000. And then there's a lot more to actually want to, there we go. You can see my chin for a while. So we are back in the store. Just looking at Coca-Cola Starlight, this is around 20 gems, right around half the drop price. The little bulb thing here, 21. So it's been evening out around 50% of what the price was. The stamp here, you could have sold at a pretty decent profit. Because I would have sold it personally at a decent profit because I got mine right away, it looked like. However, that day that they released the stamp and the Coca-Cola, they actually had a big issue with the market and listing and IMX or something. So I wasn't able to post, and I ended up working later when it was open. So I decided not to sell because I didn't feel like I had an advantage in that. Jim Lee Batman still above its listing price. A lot of people are very, very excited about Jim Lee Batman. Of course, we have the Jim Lee Nightwing on the app that has done very well from season 1, above 1,000 right now. Jim Lee Batman, of course, it has a lot more edition numbers, so we can go ahead and check out. It has something like, if it loads, it's something like, 16,000 editions. So a lot of editions, quote unquote, but a very, very iconic Batman. Of course, there's a statue in Burbank, California, a very, very iconic artist as well. I think if I've heard right, probably from VeVe 3, that he is one of the heads of Marvel right now. So very, very iconic. And I'm glad they made him a common because that is someone I might collect. Also, I'm looking at Spider-Man. I'm looking at Bruce Tim Harley Quinn. He is the creator of that character, first appearance as well. She's such a massive character, and I think that will do well going forward. Moon Knight, I think he is one, if Marvel decides, he's kind of like the violent Batman, right? He's very cool and dark and interesting. He has a great costume, right? I think if they decide, if they continue on with him in a good way, because he doesn't have as much material out there as Spider-Man, Superman, all these other men, right? If Moon Knight is continued on, I think he can be a really, really massive character. And I always think about, okay, we already know we have hindsight's 2020. We know Superman, Batman, Wolverine is in there. Once Wolverine comes out, he's going to be huge. And Cyclops, right? These are some of the first ever amazing Spider-Man, right? We already know, we have hindsight that they are huge already. But what is going to be the next kind of group of characters that this younger generation that's growing up right now, that might even be teenagers, that, oh, hey, that was my Saturday morning cartoon, and that was my thing I read, or that was the show on Disney Plus that I watched religiously, and it was just so good. Is going to be Moon Knight. Miles Morales, I think, is definitely in the running for that. He already has a video game. He already has a movie. I think he's already been in TV shows. Obviously huge in the comics. He has really fun, cool powers, turning invisible, doing the electric shock thing. So I think Miles Morales is already there. If and when Miles comes to the app, that will be really huge. I'm surprised they didn't do it for Black History Month, but they did. They will do it, I'm sure. And we know they're going to do it in a cool way. They're definitely saving that one for good. Partner statue, 16K, still doing very well, although quite down since the highs. What, it was like 40K or something like that. John F. Walker, his first appearance, 18 gems still on Marvel Mighty. And then Rushing Toby Common, 21 gems, down from 50. So the market is still overall down from, its highs in January. However, if you're comparing it to like January 1st, which everything kind of went up until January 1st, all the stuff before then is still like pretty darn up. It's still doing very, very well. It was just from the all-time highs, it went crazy. We are down now in general in the markets, with war going on, with inflation, the CPI numbers, 8.5%, which are huge, right? Previously, it was like 2-3%. They see, and again, it's consumer price index. They're measuring certain things. A lot of things they don't measure. They don't really accurately measure how much rent has gone up for most people, which is something like 15%, 20% in some cities, and much more for a lot of people. I was looking at rents in my area, and if I wasn't already into a contract, if I were to leave somewhere else, it would go up by like 30%. It's crazy. So I'm happy I am where I am, but it's absolutely wild. So it's not insane to think that, sorry, my cat's playing with one of my frames. It's not insane to think, Sibby, stop. It's not insane to think that people are a little bit more hesitant about very risky investments, about investments in general. It might just be holding on to cash, which is kind of the wrong thing to do if you think of like inflation, right? Because your cash is having less value over time. So historically, what I do, not financial advice, of course, is that the rich has remained rich and gotten even richer during these times is because they own assets, and assets keep up with inflation, if not outdo them in times like this. So you have a home, art, stocks, the right stocks, right? You can't just buy anything. Crypto for me is that, it is the riskiest of all that I just mentioned, but maybe the highest return. And I do believe in certain projects, definitely. Uh, Bitcoin, I also look at things like I don't own any. Let's go through this. So Cardano ADA, definitely Polkadot. I stay away from I stay away from meme coins, which might be to my destruction. However, if I think I'm early on something, I'll throw in a couple hundred because they can turn into like an insane amount of money, right? I'll like literally gamble with that if I feel like it might happen, but that really hasn't happened too much. Polygon is one of those. I'm into Chainlink for sure, Tezos. So all these things that I think are going to be the building blocks of kind of like Web3 going forward and are huge projects and have good, really fantastic teams. You take Gavin Wood, who is one of the co-founders of Ethereum and all of his projects, Polkadot, Energy Web Token. He had a hand in that Energy Web Token. So that's another one that I'm looking at getting in. These are all things that I'm interested in, and I do it because I choose a team to do a lot of research on them. And I go a little bit slower than most people. Even when I found VeVe, I joined March 3rd officially, but I knew about it for a couple weeks beforehand, and I was doing research and I was making sure this wasn't a scam. And what made me uneasy is that there was no MTL, there was no cash out, but there's a lot of talk of doing it. And yes, we will have omitted and like, okay, you can take it off the platform sometime. They were chatting about it back then, but it wasn't official. So I would have gone in harder if it was like, oh yeah, we're definitely gonna do this. I would have been like, boom, here's all my money. But I went in slowly because I wasn't confident in the fact that they were going to be moving to another chain or something. And eventually they chose Ethereum. They're on the Go chain then, and they kind of eventually said in one of the AMAs that, oh, they want to move to another chain. I was hoping for something like maybe Tezos or something, where it's like, I think sufficiently decentralized and has really low cost, and it's really easy to move stuff back and forth. However, Ethereum was probably the right choice overall, and then doing these layer twos. Although a little bit more complicated when moving stuff to and from wallets from layer 2 to layer 1, prices, blah, 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 all that stuff. Anyways, I digress. Super, super exciting. We have some amazing stuff coming up. Again, talking last night to Kay, Cavell, who else was there? There's a couple of names. I know Mahala Joe was there, a couple of people on Twitter. Really interesting. Oh, VeVe Street Bets, that's who was there. He's joined me and When Pokemon R Spaces before, has some really great insight as well. when we're talking, also, Kay mentioned how VeVe needs to kind of like pay more for top end developers because there's been a lot of job postings of them. They're like these kind of nebulous job postings of like, hey, you're going to be an intern, but you're also going to be, we also need 2 years experience. An intern doesn't have experience, right? So they want a junior developer and probably senior developers as well to work under them for the app or what have you, maybe gaming integration. Who knows? But he was saying of like what they're hiring, how their like practices are, is that they're not going to attract the talent that they need because in blockchain, if you make a mistake, it's way more serious than if you make a mistake in game development. You just do an update. But as we've already seen, they've locked up billions of tokens in a smart contract because they accidentally moved to zero or whatever. They messed up. And that was a nice little bump to our pockets back then when they made that mistake because it immediately burned, like a billion tokens, which helps the overall market cap. Now they have many billions of tokens, but it did help. And so there's not a whole lot of skilled developers that are very experienced in Web3, and there's some that are experienced, but you need people that are very proficient if you want to be a good Web3 smart contract designer. And I know I've taken some classes now from now it's called the Morales Academy, but Ivan on Tech. I signed up for courses and I took classes on like Bitcoin and smart contracts, how it works with unspent transaction outputs and how Ethereum works and how that's a little bit different from Bitcoin. So I've tried to learn the back end a little more just so I can look at these projects and see if it's crazy or not. Because there are some really cool stuff and there's a lot of claims, right? But his point was like they're not paying enough to hire top end developers. And he further just said, what we're kind of all thinking as well, is that for them to get a VeVeVerse or gaming or whatever out in a reasonable amount of time, they need to partner with a studio that specializes in that. And as I've seen, they already have a relationship with Warner Brothers, already have a relationship with Disney, Disney has a relationship with EA and Activision and everything else. They have built this web of gaming as well. Like they'll be fine if they want to do that. He made a really good point is that, they could have from this year, they could say, oh, they've made, because I think last year they said they made like 1 billion in revenue, right? They could say they've made so much in revenue, find that out, and then based off that number, get funding or get a loan and use that money to then just pay for top talent and just keep on doing that and making it better because Cavell made a really good point. VeVe, if you've been in it since March, the app hasn't, like the showroom, the app has gotten better, right? But it's not changed. There's nothing like new for us to do. If this were a game as a service, if this were a Fortnite or something, we'd be like, man, this has gotten boring. This has gotten stale, right? So they promised all these new things to showrooms. I thought showrooms they were going to be like way more upgraded by now, but they really haven't. They're still pretty cumbersome. The web platform is going to help a lot with that and like making it cooler and easier to search and everything, but still not happened yet. And the showrooms need a lot of work, but just like, we look at HRO and the leaderboards and just more stuff like that. It would be really interesting. Brendan Z. Glad I've got the weapons rack set. Do you have any Gondek seen the airdrop tweet? Yeah, I just showed the airdrop tweet right here. I just showed it, went over a little bit. And I'm curious. Let's look at Matt Gondek. Maybe he said exactly what it is. Stay tuned. That's going to be his drop on VeVe. This guy, I don't know if I'm into it. I have the pink and blue weapon rack set, but I don't have the full set. I should say I have the pink and blue weapon rack. I don't have the full set, and I don't have his other one. So stay tuned. He said what it's going to be. Has he said what it's going to be, Brendan T? I don't know. You mean I'm rich now? Floor price 21 gems. You paid 60. Why you got to use that GIF? Yeah. So close. So close. Yeah. So it's gonna be an airdrop. It's pretty exciting. Failure control snapshots. So the snapshot was already taken, which is just fine. That's how you should be doing it. But yeah. So I'm curious to see what they do for that airdrop. And that's what I want to continue to see, is that VeVe is doing more and more stuff to really, we get the rainbow. Yes, I do. Is that to say, what, Brendan Z, what does your profile say? Your profile pic, it says 1,000 what? 1,000 comics. Oh, nice. There you go. Okay, I couldn't see it. It's like really, really small and pixelized on my screen. I bought the poster 3 days ago. Rest in peace. Ooh, that's all right. But I mean, the thing is, like, everything is so much on sale right now. I'm gonna continue to go shopping like throughout the next couple of weeks because I think we have more probably downside to go in the crypto market to shake people out a little bit more, which means that VeVe will. I don't think VeVe will like tank because we have positive things happening. We finally have solved a lot of the bot stuff. Android users are allowed to get gems in again. So I don't think VeVe will tank and like drop another 50, 60%, but I don't think it will pump like crazy. I don't think it can pump like crazy until there's more positivity in the market in general and people are cool with taking more risky bets and buying an NFT or two. So I think that's when we will see like VeVe take off, and it will take off again. There's just VeVe still, even if VeVe were to stop today, it would still have so much stuff that other platforms do not. And then hopefully they allow you to take it out to IMX and everything, and you can sell it on different platforms for maybe different fees for cashing out, which is really important to me. You know, that 10% fee sucks, but if you convert, let's say I sell something for the 8.5% fee, and then it goes to OMI or goes to Ethereum, whatever, I put that in my wallet and I send that to Coinbase, well, their cash out fee is nothing. Yeah, there's maybe like 0.25%, something really, really low. So really, really nothing. And that's like one of the biggest advantages of being able to transfer your stuff, especially some of these higher end gems, because 10%, if you're selling a Todd Batman or something at 40K, that's really, really easy in your profits and it blows. 1,000 comics, I hit that the other day. That's crazy, man. Are you stacking? What comics are you stacking? You stacking them to sell? You're just hanging on to them? I'm assuming you're stacking some to sell. That would be the move I would do. Did you see Galactic Pals? New Star Wars kids show could lead to mighty style Star Wars figures on VeVe. 10% is nothing. I mean, so 10% is nothing in maybe the traditional world, and maybe if you're up hundreds of percents, which I am on most of my stuff, and that is nice. However, if you are a smart trader, if you're in crypto, you're trying to maximize profits. 10% really is huge. Okay, if you sell Todd Batman for 10,000, do you want to pay, just like a question, do you want to pay 1,000 in fees? Some people, yes, they're fine because they don't want to move it off the app or deal with it. I'm into crypto. I know how to move it. I'm very confident in that, and I always try to be safe. I'll transfer something. I'll transfer a low value comic or something first, just to make sure it's happening right. But I definitely am interested in saving 10%. That 10%, that $1,000, let's just say again, 10,000 example, that $1,000 could be put in a new project. What if you put it in the next Dogecoin or whatever, and that takes off? Like, that is super meaningful. And then you'll have to pay taxes on it anyway, so that's going to cut into your profits as well. So you go from $10,000 to have 8.5% taken out, then 10%, and then whatever you need to pay in taxes, which would be 20 to 30% depending on your income level, right? So you're left with like half of your earnings at the end of the day, which you could be left with 10% more at the end of the day, which is pretty nice, which is pretty huge. So I don't agree that 10% is nothing. It is do I expect free? No, because they're using the Swift. So my question is, if you've been in crypto for a long time, the fees on exchanges and everything are incredibly, incredibly reasonable. They're very competitive, and trades are like 0.25%, right? Where trades on VeVe are 8.5% or 2.5%, whatever comes first. Now, VeVe needs to make money. Understand the 30% app store fee. It really behooves them to get that web platform ready because they have no fees with that platform. So we should hopefully see with the web platform that fees are a little bit different as far as like cash out and stuff, because it is much, much cheaper for them. They are making much, much more money. HRO is very upfront about that, and that's why it's nice to have HRO as a competitor. They say, hey, if you want to have $500, you're paying that 10% fee, so you're paying 550 or whatever it is. And then if you're on their web platform, they have a $15 flat fee, which I think the flat fee probably makes the most sense. However, VeVe is using the Swift system, which is the old legacy system, and they charge an arm and a leg. It's probably just not the best system to use. If they were doing just purely the United States, they can do ACH, which is automated clearinghouse, which is what other systems use and is way, way cheaper. However, I will say this, I don't know the ins and outs because VeVe really, really wants to stay legally not as an exchange, even though they kind of are, right? So maybe that's something they're trying to, ACH is like what banks can use and they can't. Maybe you have to be part of a network in that way. So I might be a little bit naive on that front, I will admit. However, if I can get, I just don't understand, if you cannot pay 10%, why would you not? That's my question. If you can choose to pay 10% or not, and you can transfer it to IMX, and we know NFT to OMI is coming, you can sell it into OMI, transfer your OMI to Coinbase or whatever exchange is going to be on in the future, sell it there and just cash out. And it takes a couple extra steps, but again, you see, like, I guess I just don't understand why wouldn't you want to save money, especially when it could be, I mean, some of these accounts are hundreds of thousands, right? You're saving 10 grand. 10 grand's a lot and can do some cool shit in the world, right? It can pay for your rent for a couple months if that's what you want to do. You can put $1,000 into 10 different cryptocurrency projects and make more money from that. You can put $1,000 into a bunch of different NFT collectibles. You could, I mean, like, why would you not want to make, like, it's all about preserving wealth, right? Like, why would you not want to make money? So I'm not upset at VeVe for putting a 10% fee. I would be frustrated if that was the only option, but there will be options coming together in the future, and their competitors obviously have better options. At least HRO does, right? So I'm not upset. I'm not butthurt. Don't confuse it for that, but it could be better, as we have seen. So that's all I'm trying to say. At the end of the day. Brendan Z, did you see that Galactic Pals? Let's look that up, Galactic. I think I've seen like little comic books or something before. I've seen a coloring book. There's a coloring book about it. Star Wars Galactic Pals Java plush. Star Wars Learn to Care for Creatures and Aliens in Star Wars Galactic Pals. Ooh, this is definitely a kiddie show.
Hello there.
I'm assuming there's going to be Star Wars music here, so I'm just going to mute it. But let's just check this out. Now, all new series of shorts. I mean, it's that chibi style. Looks very cute. Oh, good. They're teaching kids how to meditate and burp. That's wonderful. Oh, poor little Ewok. He's gonna murder you. Droids murder Ewoks. We all know that. Oh no, really? Jar Jar Binks. Misa Jar Jar Binks. Okay, this is, I mean, it's a kiddie show, super chibi. Has that, like, I don't know what you'd call this. It's not watercolor, but that kind of this pastel-y background reminds me of Foster's Home for Imaginary Kids. If you've ever seen that, I still like that show. Foster's Home for Imaginary Kids, like the style they're going for. Doesn't quite remind me of the Mighty Marvels. I understand what you mean. It's that chibi style. Mighty Marvels. This is one of the great, man. So going back to our discussion yesterday in the Twitter Spaces, is that there was discussion as to what. Okay, so VeVe wants to build a utility, and everyone was like, "Oh, once the utility is revealed, it's not as, the reality of the utility might be less than what we're thinking." However, I will say utility can always be added on, right? You can have utility for one game and then another game comes out 2 years later and have a utility for that. The cool thing about NFTs and the exciting part and the sexy part, right, is that VeVe NFTs or NFTs in general, there's always this promised utility, this project in the ether that's happening somewhere out there, and that is just like our imaginations can run wild and maybe get ahead of us and get ahead of what they actually are going to be used for in the next coming years. Now, the thing is, again, this provable ownership. You can have unlimited utility going forward. It just who wants to build it out, who wants to actually provide it. So that is what is like so cool and exciting about certain NFTs or a lot of NFTs in general, is that the utility is just this big unknown. Crypto, I've seen a lot of things with projects where the project ADA is a really good example. Project is promising a lot and they're like, oh, we're doing this, we're going to change this, blah, blah, blah. And nothing's been released yet, right? But just the idea of something being released happens. And then when something does finally get released, it's like, oh, our mainnet's finally live. I remember those 3 apps we promised, they're finally live. They're really cool. And then people go and check them out and they're like, oh yeah, they're cool. What else? What next? And that's what happens with humans' behavior. Like we want the new cell phone so bad. We want something so bad. It's the excitement of getting there that is actually that dopamine rush. And when you actually get the thing, except if it's like very useful to your life, like my camera is or my mic is or something like that to my YouTube, if it's very useful to your life, that's when the excitement like keeps on going. Or with video games, if you find that game that just strikes, with Elden Ring right now, boom, just hit me up the head with some awesomeness. But if it doesn't live up to that hype, it has to be really, really good. People are like, what's next? Cool. I want that next dopamine rush. What project is kind of promising me that? NFTs kind of constantly have that. They constantly have that. What if this game? What if that game? What if this metaverse? What if the theme park? What if Disney decides to do X, Y, and Z? And now that we're seeing everything interoperable and they can properly like split up payments because of smart contracts, there's no like, well, it's on my platform and we get all the money. It's like, no, the smart contract is built in and it's already has 2.5% fee that's automatically going here, and that's how it's going to work. However, I will say a lot of the metadata for NFTs I'm still trying to understand how VeVe NFTs are going to work on IMX since they did remint them. I'm assuming that metadata is already built in. That's something I would like to know a little bit more about, and I definitely have questions for people who are more into the back end of the blockchain research. I know Dave and Bravo's Assassin on Ethereum or .eth on Twitter. They have a little bit more knowledge. They've been kind of like working with groups in the back end, looking at the metadata. And I'm very curious to ask them exactly because I've heard the idea recently that VeVe does not want to move to IMX as much as possible. And they want to delay that as much as possible because they'll be getting less fees somewhat or not. I'm confused on how that works or where it's coming from. I would assume that VeVe would still get their 2.5% fee because it is built into the smart contract. And that's the whole point of NFTs, is that the artist or whoever has those initial rights will continually get paid. If it resells somewhere else, they'll get paid. So I'm very curious to see what is the truth in that. Because as far as I know, that has how it's worked. However, because VeVe did remint and there's this abstraction, they're not right on Ethereum and they still have a lot of the metadata inside their app that isn't printed to the blockchain. I still have many questions about that. So I don't have firm answers. I have thoughts, and I've heard other people say their thoughts, but I haven't heard any firm answers. And I was surprised to hear that from some people as well. Yes. Anyways, very, very exciting. I think this is exactly like this kid show. I mean, this could be one use for Marvel Mighties. Absolutely. And we could, how pissed would you be if the first Darth Vader were in a Marvel Mighty? I mean, I'd still buy it. I'd still buy it. He'd probably look cool. I think the Green Goblin looks cool. I think the Spider-Man, like that line looks really, really cool. They did a very good job in the art. Now it's time for them to take the realistic human looking Marvel art and do that upright. So, but yeah. Disney Plus. Very cool. Well, guys, I think that about does it. It's 10:56. We've been here for about an hour. I could talk on and on about this stuff. Jeremy Claw, First time I see you here, so thank you so much for joining me, Jerry. Brendan Z, thank you so much again. VeVe in 3, Old Rhubarb on Twitter. Go ahead and check out his stuff. Very talented young gentleman there. And I will see you tomorrow. I will be on time. We'll do it 8:30 a.m. Pacific time again. Read the last comic in this series. This one just gave me the chills. It was some beautiful art. Really, really cool to see. And my cat is meowing at me. All right, thank you guys so much. Again, like, follow, subscribe. It does help if you like the videos, get this out a little bit more. I know the meat and potatoes of the channel is like pre-made, nice edited content videos, which will be, I have a lot of stuff in the works. It is coming up. Don't you worry about that. Thank you so much. And again, Twitter Spaces, 10 a.m. Sunday. Will I be here? Yes, I'm doing a little trip on Monday, so I'll be gone then. But I will have Twitter Spaces 10 a.m. Pacific time on Sunday with me and When Pokemon. So if you want to come chat with us, hang out. There's those spaces. They're usually a little bit smaller. They've gotten up to like 80 people, right? So they've gotten bigger, but they've been very focused discussion. And there's so much like good information that people give out in spaces like that. Don't miss it. It's really, really good. Again, check out Top Clock. If you're looking for your mounts, Top Clock on iOS, and then you have Clock and Memo on Android. I need to find out the exact name, but Top Clock on iOS, down to the millisecond. It has a clock on top of your apps, and you can time rebounds. It works. I've done it every day this week now. So it works. Do it. Top Clock, iOS. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day. Remember,